To the 18th century chocolate drink that you would be enjoying. And chocolate was primarily enjoyed as a beverage right up into the 1870s, which is what I was telling this gentleman before you walked in. It wasn't until after the Industrial Revolution do we have the machinery to take chocolate from being a beverage to a confectionery. Up to that point, we pretty much enjoyed it as a drink. So this is your cacao pod. This is actually how your chocolate starts. It starts as a fruit. And like all fruits, there's seeds inside of it, and that's where your chocolate comes from, are the seeds inside your cacao pod. So those seeds get harvested, dried out, shipped. So the first thing that we would have done back in colonial Boston and still do today is roast those beans. Roasting, of course, brings out the chocolate flavor in the bean, but you also want to toast the outside. There's a very light papery shell, almost like a peanut type of shell that surrounds that bean that obviously we don't want to be consuming. So to remove that, they actually used a basket to do this. And this is called your winnowing baskets, and this stuff would have been done outside. And by taking and tossing those warm beans, it would give them a good toss high up into the air. The abrasion of the bean against the side of the basket tears away that shell or that husk, and that would just blow away in the wind. And what you're left with are these little pieces down the bottom of the basket, which are just broken up pieces of your cocoa bean or your cocoa nibs. And the bean from the roasting and winnowing process becomes very brittle. So if I just take that bean between my fingers and squeeze it, it breaks right down into those little pieces that I was just referring to as your cocoa nibs, and that's what we're after. So the next step is to take those nibs and to melt them down in order for us to blend our spices to our chocolate. And to do that, they would have used a heated stone, very similar to this one, called a metate. And the metate is an ancient Aztec grinding plate. I'm pretty sure our ancient Aztecs weren't using the old hot plate. They would have used a full bit of hot coals. And we're going to take our mana, which is also made out of volcanic stone, and we're just going to start grinding down those nibs. And the pressure and the heat is almost instantly melting down those nibs into your cocoa butter. And it's that rich cocoa butter that you need in order to blend your spices into your chocolate. And spices they were using back then were things like your vanilla, your cinnamon, your nutmeg. There's red chili pepper in there, and that actually dates back to that Native American influence. There was the Olmecans, the Mayans, the Aztecs that originally drank their chocolate. Your grated orange peel, your anise, the licorice, annatto, food coloring, because even back then they colored their foods to make them look more appetizing, and salt. And that would all just get blended right into that rich cocoa butter. Now there is one spice very popular in our chocolate today, a rather sweet spice that we haven't added yet. Any guesses what it is?
I don't make it. What do you guess?
I don't have a guess. Sugar. Oh, we haven't added any sugar to our chocolate. I know, it's like you're starting to think through. People don't think of sugar as a spice, but it is. Sugar was a very expensive commodity. We would have used it very sparingly. Chocolate makers were not adding sugar to chocolate. You would have added sugar to your chocolate drink the exact same way you add to coffee or tea. It'd be at your personal preference. And by doing that, the chocolate makers are keeping the price down low enough so everybody could afford to purchase and drink their chocolate. And chocolate was the fifth most popular non-alcoholic beverage here in the colonies.
Where would the heat come from for the block there?
The metate?
Yeah,
They would have used coals.
they would eat coals. It
Yeah.
would have been coals. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So once you had a nice buildup of that chocolate paste or that cocoa butter,
Wow.
that would all get worked off the end of your metate into your chocolate mold. Set it aside, your chocolate mold hardened. And you'd have what they fondly called in colonial Boston as your chocolate cake. And just as you had a cake of soap, you had a cake of chocolate. And this is how you would have purchased your chocolate from your local merchant. So you would get your chocolate cake home and you would grate it down into a nice fine powder, because we were drinking our chocolate, not eating our chocolate. Like I was telling these folks, chocolate as a confectionery doesn't get invented till the late 1870s. It isn't until after the Industrial Revolution that we have the technology to take chocolate from being a beverage to a confectionery. Up to that point, you pretty much drank it. So you may add a little bit of sugar to your chocolate at this time. Take that powder and water, and it gets blended together inside this pot. Now we had coffee pots and teapots, so you have to have a chocolate pot. And the feature of the chocolate pot was this stick or stirring rod that came up with the cover. You would take your ingredients and stir. And by doing that, you're really infusing the chocolate into the water, aerating it, creating a very rich, very thick, very frothy 18th century chocolate drink. Lucky for you, all we need to do is press the magic button on our chocolate pot right here. And what we'll be serving you here in just a moment is not what we create here at Amatate, but the American Heritage Historic Chocolate Drink. And we do sell it here at Captain Jackson's. It's based on a 1750 recipe, and it is a blend of all 8 of the spices that we have here. So if you miss the spices, it's your vanilla, your cinnamon, your nutmeg, your red chili pepper for that Native American influence, your anise for licorice, your grated orange peel, annatto for food coloring, and salt. And all 8 of those spices have been blended into the drink that we serve. Okay. Sir, did you want to move?
In a minute. Now, what would be the difference between that block of chocolate there that you would buy and say Baker's chocolate or?
Well, Baker's
Am I-
chocolate has been quite refined. If you were to take a bite out of your chocolate cake or your chocolate block back then,
Right.
if you could indeed put your teeth through it,
Right.
it would be very gritty. If you're looking at it here, you're grinding it down stone against stone, and you're not really taking the smoothness out of that or have the technology to take the smoothness out of that. So, like I said, if you take a bite out of it, it'll almost be like sand on your tongue, which is why you were drinking and there could possibly be stones in it, which is why you were grating that chocolate cake down and creating a powder on it and making a drink out of it.
I
as
see.
opposed to eating it.
Thank you.
Can I interest you folks in a sample of our colonial drinking chocolate?